Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I'm your host, Jake Lewis, and on this show, myself and my regular co-host, Mark, have gone through the entire Deep Blue Sea trilogy, one chapter at a time. We're now looking at Deep Blue Sea adjacent films, which is films featuring aquatic action, directed by Renny Harlin, or predominantly featuring sharks, which is the case with today's film, Ghost Shark. What is Ghost Shark? Well, Ghost Shark is a 2013 American film released on the Sci-Fi TV network initially, directed by Griff First. That's a tough name to say. There's 3 F's in a row there. Griff First. And starring Mackenzie Rosman, Dave Randolph Mayhem Davis, Sloane Cobb, Jaron Mitchell, Richard Moll, Lucky Johnson, Tim Taylor, Sean C. Phillips, Thomas Francis Murphy, and a ghost shark. What happens in Ghost Shark? Well, a bunch of there's a fishing competition in which the sport fishermen failed to catch a fish because a shark eats it, so they beat the shark to death in various methods. It then manages to make its way to a cave where it becomes a ghost shark and wreaks havoc upon a town where it turns out it can inhabit any body of water, no matter how small. Delightful. So we are going to dig into Ghost Shark. Not the easiest film to track down, especially in the UK. But it's out there if you can find it. Ghost Shark is well worth your time, and we're going to discuss it now. So I need a guest. Mark is busy this week, so I need a guest to help me talk about Ghost Shark. So Jeremy, she was last on to talk about Shark in Venice. I feel like she's our go-to for the lower budget side of shark movies. From Why This Film Podcast, Emily Slade. Emily, welcome back to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. Hello.
My pleasure.
Yes, the lower budget shark movie. That's one thing to call them. I call them something else beginning with S, but I love them.
So I was a guest on your podcast to talk about Daylight, one of my favourite films that I bring up often on this show, a couple of years ago at this point. And on that show, the topic of bad shark movies came up because we just happened to be recording Deep Blue Sea 2, chapter by chapter. I'm not sure why bad shark movies come up to my Deep Blue Sea 2. But you swung around and said, have you seen Ghost Shark? That was your go-to. Have you seen Ghost Shark? So what is it? How did you first stumble upon Ghost Shark? Where did it come from?
That is such a great question. So my sister and I are connoisseurs of the lower budget shark movie, and we were just making our way, consuming as many as we could. We would find DVDs in CEX, or we would stumble upon them usually late night on the Sci-Fi Channel. And I feel like this was one of them where we just were up late one night where we were both at home, probably during like a festive period, and it came on TV and it was called Ghost Shark, so of course we were going to watch it. And it got to the sort of montage scene of a variety of deaths. And in that moment, I think we both decided that Ghost Shark was our favourite character in all of cinema, that Ghost Shark was one of the greatest movies ever made, and that Ghost Shark now runs our lives in a way that no other movie has come close.
There is only Ghost Shark.
There is only Ghost Shark. We will just watch little clips from it every now and then. We'll send gift sets to each other all the time of it. It's just a bonding experience. And as I say, we were going through a lot of these ones, and this one stood out because it's just whoever turned around and was like, let's kill it and have it embody like any stretch of water. Thank you.
Yep.
You genius. Like, of course. Majestic horror opportunities. And it's very rare that these lower budget movies bring out frights in the same way that like a normal sort of horror creature feature would. But in Ghost Shark, and there's water. It's so good. It's very good. I'm a big fan.
Excellent. Yeah, the line one of the characters says of like, if we stay dry, it'll leave us alone, is delightful. Like, if it can go in any water, I mean, technically you're like 70% water, so is it in you?
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
This feels like the kind of film where we just need to go through the whole plot, and just kind of beat by beat, death by death, which.
Yeah.
In contrast to some other shark films we covered, quite a few deaths in this one. Far more deaths than I think all the Jaws sequels combined in Ghost Shark.
There's so many.
There's so many. And like I'm not a fan of kids in films. I've kind of got a reputation on some podcasts for being happy when kids die in films. Ghost Shark ticks all the boxes for me. A lot of kids don't make it to the end of this film. I don't have any children. Don't worry about it. It's fine. There is no plan for that to happen. So yeah, this was actually.
So many kids die.
So many.
Like so many. Like an unnecessary amount of children die in this film. Like a lot of these characters didn't need to be children, but they are.
Yeah, when you see that the kid's unrolling the slip and slide and just rolling down that, you think, okay, like the shark's going to appear here, but he's not going to kill one of these innocent children that's just out. Oh no, the kid has slid into this ghost shark's mouth, been pushed back the entire length of the slip and slide, and his two buddies just kind of walk away. Yeah, they
And again, it's like this film is quite knowing in what it's doing. Like, again, with other movies, say Shark in Venice, it sort of tries to take itself a little bit more seriously. Whereas here, it's like they attempt to stitch a plot together, and hats off to them. They really do. There is a real attempt here for a plot, but there's also people like winking at the camera and just so many characters that we have nothing to do with that we will only come across to watch them die.
Yeah, they're filler.
And just for our entertainment.
Yeah, but like when you say a plot, it's the same amount of plot as you'd get in an episode of Scooby-Doo. In fact, it's probably the same plot as an episode of Scooby-Doo.
I think it's less plot than Scooby-Doo.
It was the old lighthouse keeper the whole time.
Yeah, him and his weird dead wife.
Yeah. Finch, maybe the best actor of the film, Richard Mole, like a proper actor who's been in things.
But the worst character, like morally.
But you think, you kind of waver. You think, okay, this is Quint. This is the Quint of this from Jaws. Like he's the grizzled old guy. He knows about the shark. He knows about the law. He's taken the book so he can try and put it back. But yes, he did kill his wife. In a fit of rage.
Killed his wife.
Well, he admits it.
In a scene where he's like, that time she got real violent, and then it cuts to him just like holding her under the water. A flashback
of him drowning.
Like, it is you who is violent. Sir, stop killing your wife. No sympathy anymore for you. Like, there was up and down as to whether I believed you and was on your side. Now I just think you're a terrible
now you gotta go.
You don't deserve to live.
Yeah. So the film starts out with a couple of. I'm very sure that the film refers to them as rednecks. I'm not sure. This is the town of Smallport, where there's a $30,000 reward for a fishing competition that the captain of this small boat has won before. His father and daughter are out to win it again. They're about to haul in a big fish when a shark comes along and takes most of it, just leaving the head. So they enact their revenge by shooting they knock out the captain, they shoot the shark, they then douse it with hot sauce, I think?
Yeah.
And then throw a grenade in its mouth to kill it.
Yes. Just for good measure.
Is successful.
Which, they should have done in Jaws, because it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, they were missing with some sriracha in Jaws, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
So they are mostly successful in killing it, except for they don't quite kill it enough. Somehow the grenade in the mouth still allows it to make its way to this magic cave that we'll come back to later. But hey, it makes it there, immediately turns into a translucent blue ghost, returns, and kills them. Yeah, great, fantastic. It's got this spectral translucent blue tint to it.
I love its design. It's so cute, and like what's really great about that is much like the score in Jaws. It's like every time you see a sort of blue light in the distance or slightly off screen or fizzing through the water. Yeah, it's very like Freddy Krueger. You're like, oh no, here comes the ghost shark. So like, again, a really good premise when usually we have to have like stock footage of a shark getting closer to us repeated to indicate the shark is near, whereas here we've got a low budget way to incite sort of Oh, not fear, because again, we're all on the side of Ghost Shark here. But, but yeah, to alert his presence or her presence.
Yes, well, it's a similar effect that was used in Jaws 3D, I think, where there's like a static image of a shark that just kind of moved closer to the camera. But done digitally, yeah. As it comes back, it takes out the two kind of hunters, and then it gets the captain, the poor innocent captain of the boat, via his bait bucket. So we do find out there that it can take any body of water, but only if you're paying attention and are on board with what this film is doing. So yeah, they all die. I watched this with my wife. That we were less than 5 minutes in when she said that this film was a part of crap.
That's fair but harsh.
She doesn't appreciate these films like we do, Emily.
That's valid. She has good taste and doesn't want to waste her own time, I guess.
Absolutely. Yes. She did watch Shark in Venice with me as well. I'm not sure. I don't think she remembers Shark in Venice. She has a knack of blocking these things out after they've been watched.
It's probably for the best.
I don't blame her. So now we cut to we have our cast of attractive teenagers to be massacred.
Yes.
So who I believe they mostly have names, but I don't know what they were. There's like the
Ava, I think was one of them.
Ava is like the main girl who is deemed to be less attractive and dresses dowdily because she's wearing an older bikini rather than
she's like the frumpy one.
Yes, which is ludicrous. So yeah, you have like the hot one who's the hot girl who's preoccupied with her looks, who isn't going to be around very longer, like a dowdier girl, her criminal sister, the Cameron, who I kept on referring as Jet Ski because he's the guy with the jet ski. His big dumb comic relief friend Mick, I think was his name, and Blaze, who is kind of the horny emo guy who's nice to Ava.
He wears a t-shirt on the beach because he's not like the other boys.
Yeah, there's a literal shot where he sits down and looks at the sea for a good few minutes later in the film. He's that's our guy.
To allow us time to fall in love with him.
Yes. So they're at the beach. They're having fun. They're out on the water. The Ava and her sister. I have no idea what her sister's name was. Cicely. Ava and Cicely, apparently is her sister's name. They see their dad's boat. They swim out to it. They find, the boat's missing because their dad was the captain. He's gone. Whilst that's happening, Jet Ski and Cameron. Sorry, I will give him his actual name. Cameron and Mick are out having fun on the jet ski, whilst the hot girl whose name is not even listed on Wikipedia for this. So is it on IMDb? It must be on IMDb, surely. Taylor? Let's go with Taylor.
That sounds like that sounds like her.
She is out on a lilo, and then wouldn't you know that she gets thrown up in the air because the shark has arrived, and the ghost shark has arrived, busts through the lilo. She swims over to Cameron sees her, and Mick falls off the back of the jet ski because this guy is in the film just to fall. He feels almost like a parody of Big Fat Friends.
Weird. Yeah, he does. He doesn't feel like he's part of the friendship group really.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really do anything or serve any purpose, even in the same sense that like Taylor doesn't serve a purpose, but she does here because she has a spectacular,
wonderful
death scene that no one seems to witness, even though.
Have you seen another teen movie? Or sorry, not another teen movie, actually not. Yeah, so there's the equivalent to the big guy in that one, who I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who's also in Varsity Blues. And he's playing the same character in both. He's playing the parody of himself, essentially. Yeah. Because they were casting not a teen movie. I'm like, who can we get to play this guy? What about the guy who's played him already?
What about the guy? Yeah.
And that feels like what they're doing with Mick here. He's like, well, he's just, he's a big guy. He can play the big guy. Like, this is the big guy. He's gonna, look, fatty fall over. Which.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reggie Ray is the character. Ron Lester, that's his name. Oh, he passed away 5 years ago. That's a shame.
God.
But yeah, he's Reggie Ray and Billy Bob both in Varsity Blues and Not Another Teen Movie. But yeah, so this feels just like that kind of a character. He falls off the back of the jet ski. Cameron goes over to save Taylor. Taylor like climbs on the jet ski. He doesn't believe that there's a shark, so she throws him in the water. She's like,
Yeah, they're terrible friends.
they're awful.
Like, they're all just awful to each other. Like, she fully pushes him into the ocean and starts jet skiing towards the land, which just also seems like a really bad idea. The shark ignores the two boys in the water, fully intending on going for the, like, the whore, if this is Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
And succeeds beautifully by running and jumping, essentially, and slicing her in half, spurting Tarantino-esque blood everywhere, and her two halves of her body fall into the ocean. Nobody seems to witness this because everyone's like, oh no, where did she go?
Because later they're talking to the parents and the sheriff, and like, something got her in the water, to which the sheriff's response is, we don't know that. It's like, what?
Yeah, we don't know that for sure. And it's like, those are her legs, and that is her torso.
And these are ghostly teeth marks. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if Mark has seen this film or not, but I will be strongly recommending it to him because he adores jet ski shark scenes. This is an all-timer
Nice.
for me. This is
Oh, absolutely.
up there with there's a film from this year called Shark Bait, where the original
Yeah.
title was Jet Ski, which is entirely
Nice.
set on a jet ski, and this
Oh.
one sequence is better than that entire film.
Nice.
We've covered it on the show already. Go back a few months, it was on there. But this is up there with Shark Night 3D. There's a classic shark versus jet ski scene on
Oh,
in
yeah.
that one as well. So
Oh, that's a beautiful one.
it's being added to the pantheon. Good. So Cameron makes it back to shore. Mick. There's a shot of Mick like swimming. Obviously, he's a slower swimmer than Cameron, but he's just like swimming out to sea. Like there's a really weird shot of him where he's just like going completely the wrong way out to sea. But he makes it to the boat, and somehow these two tiny little girls pull him up onto the boat.
Yeah.
They cut that scene. I don't know why. But yeah, no one believes them. Cameron's dad turns out to be the mayor of Smallport, and he's running for re-election. Because nice Jaws nod in there of the mayor.
Don't you ever compare me to the man from Jaws.
And so he's doesn't really believe anyone that there's a shark, but just in case, he tells his deputy to put out 1,000 to close the beach for 24 hours, put out $1,000 reward for a shark, but keep it quiet.
Yeah. Okay.
One of these things can't be done if you're doing the other two.
Yeah. I guess.
But fine. So they go to the kids go to the police station, sheriff station, where there was a video footage taken by the rednecks of them being killed. Ava takes the footage. This doesn't really go anywhere. This is just so she can keep watching it later, I guess. But
Yeah, a lot of things don't go anywhere in this movie, but hey, Ghost Shark goes plenty of places, so we
that's
forgive it.
Well, the next place the Ghost Shark goes is Cameron's having a pool party, and he
So-
cannot cancel it.
Love it. Absolutely cannot.
So they decide to turn it into a memorial.
Oh, shit.
But they don't really. They just say that. I mean, it could be like a memorial, but then it's just a pool party. I was expecting like veils and black bikinis, but no, it's just another pool party, and they've completely forgotten that Taylor exists or existed at this point. She's gone.
Completely, and he's now exaggerating what happened, where he's like, oh yeah, I tried to save her, I tried to punch the shark in the nose, but like to no avail, and all these girls are like, wow, that's so brave. And is it our little emo friend is got his BlackBerry on the side of the pool, and he's texting away.
Then Mick pushes him in the pool, or tackles him into the pool.
And then he's like, oh, why are you angry? Is it because I got your phone wet? Get over it, man. And it's like, no, I think it's a really valid thing to be annoyed that you've been thrown into the pool with your phone. Like, I think that's a normal way to react. I don't think that's
Absolutely.
unreasonable.
Yeah, so Blaze leaves, goes to find Ava. Fine. But we don't care about that. We're here at the pool with Ghost Shark. because
Oh, gosh.
a fight breaks out between a couple of guys who just call each other arse clown. You can hear the oh, you're an arse clown. Oh, you're an arse clown.
Yeah.
That's the go-to insult for these
The
two.
fight tries to build up over some time where it's like, hey, you weirdo, get over here. And they're sort of like muttering in the background.
One of
but
them
it's
has
really
tattoos.
over nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you're weird, and therefore we're gonna pick on you. And they break the fence, and Cameron's like, stop doing that. We've already seen the ghost sharks, like, milling about in the water, like, where's he gonna go?
That was it.
What's he gonna do?
Blaze sees the ghost shark in the pool, leaves, doesn't tell anyone.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, who's gonna believe you? Be like,
That's
there's
true.
a ghost shark in the water. Like, you wouldn't. And it would mean that poor Tattoo Man wouldn't get to dive headfirst into the pool and be met with ghost shark coming the other way.
It was very reminiscent of. Did you watch Deep Blue Sea 3? You joined us for 2.
I don't think I did watch 3.
You must watch 3. There is a moment in
Okay.
3 that is very similar to somebody diving and then a shark meeting them the other way. That
Beautiful.
made me have to pause the film and walk around my room for a bit to calm down. I strong recommendation to watch Deep Blue Sea 3.
Nice. Okay.
It's better than 2. And you seem to
Okay.
think that 2 was better than 1. So, if I
Yes.
remember rightly.
Yes.
The tattoo guy, I've just put up, when we first see him, he sets a ping pong ball on fire to light his
Yes.
cigarette with. I'm like,
It's like,
how did you light the ping pong ball?
cool.
Just use that to light the cigarette. But
I know, it's like so extra, and I'm so here for it because it makes no sense and serves no purpose.
so I can do this
And
cool
yet-
thing with a ping pong ball. Well, you can set it on
Yeah.
fire. Okay. I can do that with anything if I've got a lighter.
Love it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So he does. He
And so
does
for his ping pong crimes.
It's crimes against ping pong. Yeah. He's the ping pong arsonist. Does this? It's like a gator, I think is the name of the jump, where he kind of flips, and then he lands in a shark's mouth and is rocketed up into the air in ludicrous fashion, and his head lands perfectly on a girl's beer bottle. Screaming ensues. I do love that this shark is having fun. Cause
Oh, he's
there's
so
been-
artistic. He's thoughtful.
waits for the
He's
moment.
trying to make as much as of an impact as possible.
This is
like,
a theatre kid shark.
oh, such a theatre kid shark.
I know I'm talking to a theatre kid.
But like me and this shark, we're on the same level.
Because
I,
like
too,
there have been
would
so many
ensure
people
that
in the
happens.
there have been so many people in the pool. There's been like games of people sitting on each other's shoulders playing like wrestling
Oh,
in the
yeah.
pool. There's been like 20 people in there, but it's not until the guy does a dive that the shark's like, "Yep, now is my moment.
That
Everyone,
one
look at
guy.
me."
And then with the head falling perfectly on top of the beer bottle. Yeah, he could have just mowed down everybody in a matter of seconds, but he's like, nah.
Yeah.
I got this. He's choosy, this shark. It was at this point that I don't know how I don't know where you watched it. I watched this on YouTube, and it felt kind of weirdly dubbed. I don't know if that was just my copy, and also it always feels like they're improvising, like they're about to go into a porn. Like that's how I feel the level of dialogue in these movies.
This
it always
is-
feels like
You-
they're
you
given
had
the
this-
gist of the scene.
You had this complaint about Shark in Venice as well, there being one particular scene that felt like a very low budget porn. But no, I watched this on DVD because I have to bring this up. We talked about Santa Jaws, we covered last December
Yeah.
on the show. And to watch Santa Jaws, I had to buy a DVD box set that was only in Region
Had
1.
to.
It was not available anywhere else. That's the only way I could find it. And so I had to buy that and a Region 1 DVD player. So I ended up paying about
Wow.
£45, I think it was,
Oh
to
my
watch Santa
God.
Jaws. But that is now halved because what was in that same box set was Ghost Shark. So I am
Like,
slowly
money's
spreading that
worth.
cost about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ghost Shark, that's about 40 quid's worth of entertainment, I'd say, hands down.
Well,
That's fine. You've made your money back.
Once we cover Mississippi River Sharks, Ozark Sharks, Swamp Shark, Zombie Shark, and Alligator Alley,
Wow.
it'll be basically free.
Alligator Alley. That sounds horrendous.
That's the bonus, the extra bite, and it's a six shark films plus a bonus 7th bite of Alligator Alley.
Honestly, that sounds like a nightmare. I have a genuine fear of crocodiles and alligators, so Alligator Alley would be the place that I would just full on lay down and die.
When a young woman comes home from college to her redneck family, a mutated new entry to the alligator family starts attacking her kin and the rivaling family in their bayou. They must overcome their feuds and fight together against the red-necked gators. Red-necked. The red-necked gators.
Oh my god, so it's like Romeo and Juliet, but like the Montagues and the Capulets combine forces to fight like another family of like
mutated redneck gators, yeah. Because alligators, not scary enough, it would seem.
Yeah, apparently not. I disagree, but fair enough. So at this point now, I think it's been fully established that any stretch of water is a cause for excitement. So now, and this movie knows it. It will open scenes focusing on like water. So I think the next thing we cut to is like a car wash, like a Paris Hilton.
Mick dies in the pool as well because he just stands in the middle of the pool.
Oh.
Everyone flees, but he just kind of stands there looking around dumbfounded. And then
really
dies.
forgettable though, considering how theatrical this shark is. He basically dies off screen.
Well, I feel like the shark is theatrical, but if someone's going to be that stupid, it kind of has to, like the shark's like, okay, well, like, I can't leave you. This like because Cameron tries to pull him out, not going to work. Cameron like falls in as well, and like manages to crouch underwater whilst the shark and Mick both just disappear.
It's really weird, and then we find this out by a phone call where Cameron's like, Mick's dead, he's dead, and you're like, we could have shown us that. Yeah, it's really odd. It's like the actor decided to leave the project early, so they were like, we're just going to use the footage that we have and like kill you off, but there's no actual like death blow. When you consider how many other death blows are in this movie, didn't quite sit right with me. Like the relationship that this shark has with the protagonists is really odd. It'll acknowledge them as like main characters a lot. It'll be like, oh, you guys are like on the DVD cover, so I like won't eat you. It's fine.
Wow, the guy who,
everyone else.
The guy who played Mick. Who died in the pool, 260 acting credits.
Wow.
He's got like 50 in post-production or currently filming.
Oh my god.
A lot of them.
He's not that guy that just like appears in everything as like a geek, is he?
I know who you mean. I don't think he's like. Well, it's all films like Toxic Alien Zombie Babies from Outer Space.
Oh wow.
Martian Massacre. Amityville Thanksgiving.
Does 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll just do 10 minutes of every movie and get killed off.
I think so. He's in a lot of parodies.
You can churn them through.
Yeah. Mutant Vampires from the planet Neptune.
Nice.
Joel D. Wincoop's The Craiglon Incident 2 Aftermath.
You sound amazing. How do I ever get a career doing these movies?
Toilet Zombie Baby Strikes Back.
What? That means that it like was striked before. There was a previous striking for it to then strike back. Wow.
5G Zombies. Easter Bunny Bloodbath 2, No More Tears.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
This is quite the CV.
What a CV, yeah.
This is Sean C. Phillips has been in many films. Bear in mind, this is 240 credits starting in 2007.
I would love in the middle of that if it was also just like out of Africa or like Room with a View.
I can't see anything that's even like another superhero movie is maybe his most mainstream.
Wow.
Well, he did.
Good for him. He's found his niche.
I mean, yeah, you gotta get a job, you gotta work.
Man, gotta pay those bills. They're getting eaten by zombie baby toilet vampires.
Sheriff Tom versus the zombies. Yeah. Stormageddon, earthquake versus tsunami. How can an earthquake?
Oh my God.
What the hell?
Yeah, what? That just sounds like offensive.
Alien versus Predator. Yes, those are two sentient beings. Earthquake versus tsunami.
I mean, maybe you can't knock it till you've watched
it. There is no end. There is that sentence gives maybe a million different things. There's so many ways that could work. Aliens versus college girls. Anyway, we could spend the next hour just reading his CV. We probably shouldn't do that. So Mick died. Cameron goes to see the people, and then we get the delightful montage of the shark just running amok, killing everyone. So we see
amok. It truly is though. Like,
so yeah,
just living his best life.
We've mentioned the slip and slide before. Do you want to talk us through the car wash?
Oh my goodness. So there's a big old sexy car wash with a guy that's clearly like an actual child behind the wheel having the time of his life.
The creepiest child imaginable.
Just think all the acne, all the braces, all the glasses, just really unnecessarily extreme. And the girls are so like skinny in their bikinis and they're rubbing themselves all around the car wash. And then we're suddenly in his point of view looking out the windshield and blood spurts. And the shark is like dragging them past the windows, and there's like the windscreen wipers are going, and there's like blood all over the car. Like it's a masterpiece. It's great. So the shark goes for like most of those girls through the soap suds on the car.
But we see one in particular dying, being eaten by a bucket.
Yes. Oh my god. I'd forgotten about that.
Where she's head down in a bucket, slowly being lowered into it, basically.
Like her legs are like kicking. It's so good, so good. There's like a plumber that's trying to fix the pipes, and again he sort of gets like munched in. It's like the shark sort of like reels them in with like munching, and then sometimes spits them out depending on how he's feeling. And I know we've talked about the slip and slide, but it is the most famous moment in this movie, and it is just great.
But with the plumber, I got another comment from my wife here who genuinely did not understand what we were watching. With her comment of, how is that even possible?
Great question. Well, we'll have to look at the lore of the cave, which I'm sure we'll go into in the third act.
We'll get there, but I kind of explained that it's filmed about a ghost shark. We're beyond the realm of possible.
It's like the ghost decides to change size. It's able to fit in all of these different places, and it mixes up how it eats things for our entertainment. Like the shark is so gracious with its
knows it's in a
entertainment
film.
value. It does, and I'm so thankful for it, because if it was just like a normal shark that was like nom 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 and then like ate you like a normal shark did, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair enough, but I've seen that.
It's the Deadpool of sharks, really. It knows it's in a film. It's here to entertain us.
It may as well talk to camera at this point. In fact, I think that would only enhance the experience.
Well, have you seen the sequel? Well, let's say there's Ghost Shark 2.
No, I haven't.
Ghost Shark 2 Urban Jaws is a sequel in name only. Apparently, it's nothing to do with the original. Came out in 2015, and apparently is more of a drama than this one is. And it's from New Zealand. I've put it on the spreadsheet, but I haven't tracked it down yet.
Oh my god, maybe it's a masterpiece.
It's got a great poster of a big red shark fin with a cityscape in the bottom of it. A nice kind of simple poster.
Urban Jaws. Please.
Yeah.
Love that.
So coming to the podcast at some point, maybe. We'll see.
I think, is that all the deaths in this montage, or have we...
Yes, it was the 3 locations. It was the slip and slide, the plumber, and the car wash.
Nice.
The kid in the car didn't die, which is a shame. I feel like he should have.
It's such a shame, because he 100% should not have been driving.
Yeah. So throughout all this, we've cut to... Oh, no, and he chucked a cup of mud on the windscreen just to make it so the girls had to do it. Anyway, so between all this, we have cut to Finch a few times where he lives in the lighthouse. He's a lighthouse keeper. He's got like a basement full of... It's got the basement from Cabin in the Woods, essentially.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like Evil Dead vibes. Yeah. It's like an underground bar, but like Evil Dead themed.
And there's a suit of armor in there. There's knickknacks all over the place. There's a lot going on. There's a picture of his dead wife in a seashell photo frame. And he has a theory. He goes to check it out, finds the dead shark in the cave. He exclaims, "Judas Priest," which I had to write down just because that made me smile. And he comes to a realization that it's the cave. I think Ava comes to see him, or he sees Ava, And they have a conversation about, like, the
they-
cave
they-
brings things back. You don't take them away. The cave, damn it, the cave.
They sort of unfold the mystery of the cave-ish, but not really. And he's got this dead wife who, like, isn't in the movie, but also, like, is... Like, I feel like the dead wife subplot could have had another rewrite and either been another ghostly entity.
That's what I was expecting. Like, she was there
Alongside the
controlling the
shark.
shark somehow, or...
Yeah, or trying to fight against it.
Yeah.
Because she's an apparently very forgiving victim of domestic abuse.
Because does he know about this because she died in that cave? Did she then come back? Is his wife's ghost? Because we see...
This is the... like, flashes.
And, like, there's a bit where he, like, opens a book and all the dust comes up and forms her face.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Or I wondered if the implication was, like, it was her ashes.
Yeah, that would make sense. But, like, it's still forming her face
But,
in the air.
like, why? It's very,
Ashes don't tend to do that.
Buffy. It's weird. Very odd, very unhelpful dead wife subplot.
Yes.
That doesn't assist with the mystery or anything else at all. She just exists to, like, give this man a backstory. She's like
a horrific
infringed.
wife-killing backstory.
Yeah, like, he is the actual worst. Like, because at some point earlier on in the movie, everyone's like, oh no, his wife died in the cave when the high tides came in. That's really tragic. And Ava's like, we always thought that he'd killed his wife. That's really awful to hear that she died in an accident. And then, like, 45 minutes later, it's like, no, he did.
Yes,
he did
yeah.
kill his wife.
All the rumours were
he's
true.
Trash. Like, he's the worst. And you're like, what?
Oh.
Why? What? Why?
God damn it, creepy lighthouse guy.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. You were the best actor in this, and now you're like a terrible person. For no reason. You easily could have, like, it would make more sense for you to have to become a recluse because the townspeople thought you killed your wife and actually she died because of this weird mystic cave and you upset the runes or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, someone just needed to sit down and be like, let's simplify this and just make it make more sense.
What is the essence of Ghost Shark?
Yeah. They were too busy being like, slip and slide, which, you know what, is totally valid.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, Ava's sister, Cicely, is running the biggest bath in the world.
Love the size of this bath. Love, again, that, like, looming shot, because you're like, oh.
Yep, water,
I
we know
know
what's
someone
coming.
who likes that.
And then it glows blue.
And it never gets old. Like, I cannot stress enough what fun it is zooming in on every single stretch of water. And I just think it's so clever. Whereas in every other sort of low budget shark movie, you don't get that same, like, oh, here comes the shark, because sometimes the shark doesn't come because they can't afford for the shark to come. But here it is guaranteed. And here we have, like, a named character that is a big she's part of the protagonist crew. So you're like, oh, like, is it time for another beat to kill a protagonist crew member? Like, this is fun. It's very Freddy Krueger. It starts glowing blue. And it's just reminiscent of how people will often say that when Jaws came out, not only were apparently people too frightened to go into the ocean, some people were too frightened to even have a bath. And here, that fear is fully realised, where the shark acts its most sharkish and comes up and drags her by the leg and, like, smushes her around. It's very violent. It's very scary. But she's fine, because she's, like, one of the main characters.
That's it. We never see the wound. We see it bandaged in the next shot. And it's just, she now has a bad knee for the rest of the film,
Like,
so she needs to help correct.
She hasn't even, like, lost a limb. It's like a scratch. It's literally, like,
it can easily be covered by a fairly small knee bandage. And she can still walk, but just a bit of a limp to it.
It's kind of disappointing. Like there was no reason for this character to not die. Like, she easily could have just died, and then that could have motivated our protagonists even more.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything for the rest of the film. She's just... It gives a reason for Blaze and Ava to split up, because Blaze has to take Cicely home, but then he doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So she should have died in the bath. That's my only note to Ghost Shark. You should have killed her in the bath. Because then it would have been a cool, like, death. Whatever.
yeah,
It's
like
fine.
it would have been a very Nightmare on Elm Street death with just the
Yeah.
water filling up with blood, kind of.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. So instead, Ava and Blaze and Cameron decide they need to leave. Cameron's dad, the mayor, thinks that everyone's a bit high on PCP or bath salts. So
Of
fine.
course.
But they make such a big deal about leaving the house and Cicely staying behind. Like, so much time is spent on the other three getting out of the house. And there's a sheriff knocking on the door without him seeing and driving away, and then Cicely going and trying to drive away, but the sheriff's so much. Like, this film is 88 minutes long, 84 minutes long. I think it's like 88 with credits. It feels too long. It feels like too much time was spent on this kind of thing. Where like this could have been a much tighter 75. I think.
This is the thing. It's way too long, and like as I say, like there just wasn't the same thought going into the like plot that strings the ghost shark deaths together as there was going into the ghost shark deaths.
Yeah.
And whilst I don't begrudge it of that, because they clearly didn't feel the need to. If they had just given it a bit of a rewrite, like I'll send my notes across, lads, just do some reshoots, and you've got yourself a pretty solid movie here. Like, you've got all the right beats, you're just putting them in the wrong places and focusing on the wrong things. Like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with what you're doing. You just need to straighten it up a bit. And yeah, like, so much with this random sheriff character, are you young enough to drive? Like, so much pointless dialogue. Because there's more interesting things, like we're about to talk about, like Roanoke. Like, who knew that Roanoke would be a major plot point of Ghost Shark? Like, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, it's kind of not, again, because they don't quite know what they're doing, but it's a nice idea.
Well, you mentioned Cicely not being old enough to drive. There are still quite a few lascivious shots of her in a bikini, along with all the other girls.
Yeah.
This feels a bit wrong that like this young character is being shown in this light.
Yeah.
Not that it's right to show any like at the pool party, all of the women are like supermodels in bikinis compared to the guys just being normal guys.
So it's and that's a very classic,
Yeah.
you know, women's bodies are used to titillate and entertain, especially when they have violence and against them in horror movies. It's like a whole thing. So it's interesting that Ava, our main character, is constantly in her like plaid shirts and like jeans and her hair tied back, and she's meant to be quite she's very active. Like, she's a very active protagonist, I will give her that. And very brave. And yeah, she's less sexy. So I don't know what this movie's trying to say. It's like how the kids are normal going through the slip and slide, and then we happen upon a kid that's like slightly bigger than all the other kids, and he's the one that gets eaten. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what it's trying to say,
No.
but
I'm not sure if it's trying to say anything. I think it's just trying to kill kids with a ghost shark.
yeah.
Which, fair play to it. Why not? That's what we want to see anyway.
That's what we want to say.
So Ava, Blaze, and Cameron head to the Maritime Museum to look up the lore on this shark. Whilst they are there, Cameron stays outside to have a cigarette because he's in no real hurry to do anything.
Yeah, gotta get that smoking.
Whilst the other two go inside and find Giles in there to give them...
Literally. I thought the exact same thing. It's like, why, hello there. It's me, exposition man. Let me get my dusty toes.
I am the Shark Watcher. Yeah.
It's so good.
So there's a grimoire that explains how to send the shark back to wherever it came from. But of course, the grimoire is missing because Finch has taken it. And before they can chase Finch, Cameron's outside as Finch leaves with the grimoire. He throws the cigarette into a bin inside the building.
No, what he does, and I don't know if you've ever smoked a cigarette
I have
before,
not.
but we've all seen Grease, and she is taught very explicitly how to put out a cigarette at the end of that movie. You take it out your mouth, you throw it on the ground, and you stub it down.
Yeah.
Cameron is sat on the steps. He takes the cigarette out of his mouth. He reaches down with the cigarette towards his own foot and, like, taps on the end of it. I have never seen anything like it. It is the most bizarre stubbing out of a cigarette. And it was so noticeable that I started to write it down. And then I realised that they did that way because then he needs to throw it in the bin and it needs to start a fire to set the sprinklers off.
That's what this film is trying to say.
Again,
The film's trying to say, stub out your cigarettes.
101, like, there could have been a million different ways for the sprinklers to have gone off. His dad is the mayor. He could have come up quickly with no notice and shocked him, so he needed to get rid of the evidence that he was smoking quick. Just a number of different ways for a fire to have started with a cigarette than him weirdly tapping it out and then throwing it in the bin. Like, it's so fucking strange. It's like this movie wasn't written by humans. Like,
I feel like if he'd seen the guy setting the ping pong ball on fire earlier, and he was just trying to do that. He's like, I want to be as cool as that guy, and it went horribly awry.
It's like someone is like not quite human here, and they're in charge of like some of the major scenes. But it's fine because the sprinklers go off, and of course the second the sprinklers go off, you're like,
there's water.
I know someone that likes water.
Well, the second they go off, they are ankle deep in water, like within seconds.
It floods so quickly, and he's like, the artifacts, and you're like, so you have absolutely no contingency plan for when the sprinklers go off, and all of your ancient like Evil Dead books, Necromicons, are just like ruined now because
centuries old, the driest paper note, like
flood your museum.
The book he had to put gloves on to touch it earlier is now saturated. It's dissolving as we speak. But yeah, so Cameron rushes in and finds Blaze's neighbour. Cameron must have a reputation for not putting out cigarettes properly, because as soon as Blaze sees him, Blaze like throws him against the wall, like, "What have you done?" About like setting the fire.
Like, it's so the reaction is so extreme. It's like, I'm gonna kill you, man, and it's like, what? How do you know that this is his fault? Like, did the script tell you? Is that the script?
Well, maybe he's got a history of accidentally starting fires because he smokes and doesn't stub the cigarette out properly.
Again, though, that could have been established. I don't know. Like, just again, like, stuff could have made more sense.
So as they try to escape, Giles' arm gets bitten off and he dies before he hits the floor. Cameron slips, is too scared to get up, and is eaten. A bloody torso stump is left against the wall. But Ava and Blaze get out and head to see Finch with the grimoire. Meanwhile,
Goshawk, what you up to, Goshawk? What we got here, is that a water cooler?
Yeah,
that's cool.
If the slip and slide is the most famous one, it shouldn't be. It should be the mayor's assistant going to get a drink of water from a water cooler, to which my wife commented, "None of this makes any sense. That's not even plugged into the mains."
That's not important right now. Just watch the movie.
So he takes a drink of water. It glows blue. He drinks it, but whilst it's in him, Ghost Shark also is in him and emerges.
And it takes ages, though.
Takes a while.
He's like, and he's like bleeding at the mouth, and everyone's just watching him like, what the hell, Matt? What's going on with you? And then John Carpenter swings by.
Oh, absolutely. It's a mixture of him and James Cameron. This is The Thing meets the T-1000 in T2. Of just, he gets ripped in half from the waist up.
And the Ghost Shark pops his little head out, so at some point it looks like the Ghost Shark is wearing a little suit, and it's so good. And everyone else in the building just like glances at each other really like slowly, like, that was
guess we
weird.
gotta hire a new assistant.
It's so funny.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's.
And it's because they're not looking at the effects, and they're not quite sure what they're responding to, but
it's just a look of like mild confusion. Whereas like the director must be saying like, he's dead, he's dying.
Yeah.
He means other than just confused. But no, that's it. And then Like
Wow.
the sheriff gets a phone call from someone. I think it's the sheriff who then says to the mayor, "We've got 2 dead people at the Maritime Museum. Cameron's one of them. I'm
Yeah.
sorry." But he forgets to do
Like-
any kind of emotion in that.
And like any kind of build up, any kind of like I've had a police officer come round to my house and deliver news that someone has found the body of a relative, and it is a long process. They sit you down and they start telling you a story about people to just sort of like ease your brain into the concept that like somebody's died, it's somebody you know, here's who it is, are you okay? Like it's a very like drawn out emotional thing, and he's just like hangs the phone up and he's like, your son's dead. It's
Sorry.
a bummer. It's like, wow, like you skipped that day of training, clearly.
But the mayor is equally unemotional.
Yeah.
Or he's not really sad about it. He's more angry, and basically decides that he doesn't want revenge. He wants justice. So to go out
Really
and kill
odd reaction. This character that has been like literally the mayor from Jaws, essentially,
Yeah.
is now like the other guys in Jaws, where he's like gonna get a boat and go out with a gun and try and
the
kill
guys that get the
shark.
tiger shark.
And it's like, what? All right, you
so-
do you, boo. But like,
So he heads out with the sheriff in tow to go and do their little mission. Meanwhile, Ava, because Cecily showed up to Ava and Blaze, and so Ava's like, "Blaze, take Cecily back home. She shouldn't be out here. She's a girl, or she's got an injured leg." So Blaze is taking her back when they run into a gang of street kids playing in a fire hydrant. What could possibly
really
happen
odd
here?
characters. The fire hydrant is like shooting water out onto the street, so again you're like, yeah. But by this point, Blaze is like feels it's his duty to warn people, probably having witnessed like a couple of deaths by now.
Yeah.
So he tries to engage with these children who are just little goblins. They are honestly like the worst. Again, like, I don't know if it's on purpose, so I'm happy when they're no longer alive. But like small children, and they're like, I want some of what you're smoking, man. And it's like, who talks like that? You're like 8. Go home. God damn it. Go play some video games or something, you little freak. Luckily, Ghost Shark is here to save the day from these awful children by only taking out 2 of them.
But
after ramming into the side of the car quite successfully.
there was a shot of the gang of 5 of them where you could clearly tell the director was off screen saying, "Okay, everyone, look tough."
Yeah.
And the main guy just does bicep curl, like just
Yeah.
holds his arms out. "Arr."
Really stilted and odd, and just really, again, like, this, the part of the charm of this movie is just you're like, what?
Yeah, and once 2 of them die, everyone just casually walks away.
Honestly, everyone like looks at again, we've got like a couple of torsos falling to the ground, spurting out blood.
Spurting, yeah.
And like clearly they can't see this because they are reacting as though like nothing has happened.
Yeah.
And they just like back away, and like no one is horrified or upset. Even like Blaze is doing his best to be, but Cecily is just like, is it lunch yet? Like, she's so like not here again, which is why I wish she died in the bath. But it's fine. So Blaze has to take Cecily back to Ava because they can't go home because the van is ruined, I guess, now. That's a shame.
Yeah, so they're on foot. Well, actually, the guy who plays Blaze is Dave Davis is his name, but on Wikipedia,
What a great name.
on Wikipedia he's quoted as Dave Randolph Mayhem Davis.
Wow.
Which is also awful.
Love
Awesome.
that.
He's been
Is
in
that-
like The Walking Dead, True Detective.
Can I take that if I
Logan?
marry you? Do I become Mayhem Slate? Like, do I
but-
take that name?
Randolph Mayhem is hyphenated as though that's his like middle name.
Love that.
But
Love
it's
that.
it's
Yeah,
an odd
I'm
choice.
not surprised he's been in like legit things. Like he was
was in
clearly
Logan.
like trying his best with what he had been given.
Yes, which is was Ghost Shark.
which was not a lot.
Uh,
But the Screenwriter of the Year returns because Ava goes to visit Frank, and they have a wonderful conversation where she's like, your wife is dead. Wrong. Well, then where is she? Why is she here? Shut up. Beautiful dialogue.
when they tried to stop him to talk to them earlier as he's walking along, he just like punches their cars. Like, leave me alone.
He's the most erratic. Like, he's an actual psychopath. Like, he's an actual murderer. He's such an odd character. I love him.
Yeah, but they
Weird.
determined he has the grimoire. So they've determined that the creature can be sent back using a talisman made from what killed it.
Yeah.
Which okay. So they don't know what killed it because it was like a spear gun and a bullet and a grenade and hot sauce all involved in this. So
Pick one.
I mean, I was kind of hoping that they'd concoct a weapon made of all of it.
Oh, that would have
but
been
that didn't
good.
really happen. They just kind of picked the spear. And so on the boat the mayor has commandeered, he drags the sheriff along with him. Mayor very clearly needs therapy, not shaken by his son's death at all. The sheriff is killed. The mayor doesn't care. The mayor goes below deck.
Mayor doesn't see it.
That's true.
Mayor is facing camera. Sheriff is facing out towards her. Ghost Shark just yeet across the screen. Sheriff's gone.
Then the mayor heads below decks to use the latrine. Sits down. Does not get back up again.
Beats Jurassic Park, beats any sort of toilet death, because in Jurassic Park the legs don't fold up in the same way that they do here. He's munched in half. Again, like, sometimes Ghost Shark wants a whole corpse, sometimes he just wants half, sometimes he just wants to take a bite.
I think
out of
the Ghost
you.
Shark is just after a body count.
Yeah.
It doesn't care for finishing anyone up. It's just trying to kill
Munch,
everyone.
munch. So he is like stuffed now in the toilet, like in half, scrunched up.
Dead.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, R.I.P. him.
So we're only really left now with Ava, Blaze, Cecily, and Finch. That's the only people left that we know.
In the town.
Yes.
I think at one point he calls the shark a whore, but I didn't know if I misheard that.
I didn't hear that, so that's entirely on you.
I misheard that.
I did write down the line, "You're gonna stab a ghost to death," as being like a nice. But yeah, okay, why not? So
I'll allow it.
So Ava has the spear. She's been designated as the one who has to kill it because her dad was amongst the first victims. Finch is like, your dad brought it here. No.
Which is so unfair because the dad was very explicitly at the beginning of the movie like, don't kill sharks on my boat.
Yeah.
Like, that's criminal behavior. Don't do that. And then he sadly dies. And now the poor Ava is taking the brunt of like what these two randomers did because Frank is a psychotic criminal. Cannot be trusted.
So Ava is standing in the shadows and the shark appears, comes at her. She jumps into it and stabs it, and you get this incredibly terrible shaky shark explosion.
Oh my god.
It's
great.
So you might think, success. It's work.
But then you click YouTube and realize that there's 27 minutes left of this movie, and you're like, how? Like, come on, man.
So
what else? I was so happy and satisfied with that death. I was like, that was easy, but you know what? It's fine. And then it's like, no. Frank is like barely understandable. Like at one point he's walking around the cave like a grieving Ron Burgundy. He's literally like you can't understand a word he's saying. And then it gets really problematic where he essentially, as we've said, admits to like murdering his wife, and these teenagers are still like, seems legit. This is the guy we should use to help us.
Well, that is just after the ghost shark has bitten off a couple of his fingers when he was retrieving the talisman. So he's in the state of blood loss and shock. So he's open to admit anything. But yeah, so he has a flashback where he killed his wife in a fit of rage in the cave. It doesn't really lead to anything. But it's revealed.
It's really strange.
Yeah. That's when we have the flying book dust face of his wife. But this is, I think, where it's revealed. Do you want to talk about the curse on the town? What's revealed there?
So we mentioned Roanoke earlier. So the idea was that there was like a bunch of people that went missing, but then the authorities tried to cover it up. I didn't quite get it, like at all. I don't know if you understood it better than I did.
I didn't. All I took it from was there was some kind of a curse put on the cave where anything that's killed violently in the cave can come back. But there isn't anything else wandering around town. No.
As a ghost. And his whole thing is like, I believe in ghosts because my wife, who was killed violently in the cave, should have been coming back as a ghost. So I guess the implication is that he was being haunted by her and everybody thought it was just his personal demons, but like actually he was being haunted by her. But we never see that. So it's really difficult, bad storytelling.
But they determined basically, let's blow the cave up.
It's very American. They're like, there's no nuance here. There's no delicacy. It's very like, we just need dynamite and then that will solve it. Which is fine.
I mean, yeah, it's a film called Ghost Shark. What do you want?
I wanted a little, because Ghost Shark is so good, I just wanted a bit more depth around all of the other plot and characters, but it's fine. There's fun, interesting I like that there's a cave, I like that there's a curse, like all of these things are fun. They're just not done very well, but the Ghost Shark is done so well that it balances itself out. Frank does find the boat that the sheriff and the mayor were on, and he goes down to try and find survivors, and we get to see our only like corpse body, and it's the scrunched up mayor who's like folded in half. And Frank says my favorite line, when he discovers it, he stares at it and he goes, "Son of a bitch." And then there's like genuinely like a 25-second pause, and then he goes, "Ugh." Like, it's just brilliant. And it's, I would also have the same reaction if I came across that.
I think so,
so
yeah.
You can't fault him.
That's cinema verite right there. So the only problem we have now, they need to blow the cave up. It's raining. It starts to rain. There's rain. There's puddles. Surely the ghost shark can't travel in rain. Surely not.
You'd be wrong.
So yes, the shark falls from the sky and takes out Finch. Finch is gone.
Off you go.
And the ghost shark chases Blaze and Cecily through the rain and the puddles as they try to get to get into the dry. And
get into cover.
Sometimes the shark can just kind of appear where it wants to, and sometimes it has to travel, it seems. So, like it can just appear in a bucket of car wash water, but it needs to travel through the rain. This is inconsistent. This film is terrible. But no, so.
But it's nice. It's nice jumping through puddles. It's nice seeing the shark like coat in and out of the different puddles, and then like go through the rain like he's some sort of weird light show at a theme park. It's great.
So whilst the shark is distracted chasing them, Ava sets the dynamite, but shark extinguishes the fuse, so she has to go back into it again, which it's having some fun. The shark could just easily eat her at that point, I think. It's
honestly, and even she's like falling in towards the water, and the shark is like going, "Rawr, rawr, rawr, I'm not gonna eat you, Ava, because I know that you're the main character." Like, it's very obvious.
When they're heading to the cave, they all have to wade through a bit of water, and they're just like, okay, it's not to do this bit. It's not time in the plot yet.
And Blaze says, "Look out for snakes."
What about the friggin' ghost shark, you numpty?
Blaze, you're in Ghost Shark the movie. Blaze will now spend the next 7 minutes, as many times as is physically possible, grabbing Cecily in like a full body hug, pulling her left and right, pushing her down to the ground, all in an attempt to like save her. But he just like body tackles Cecily like non-stop.
But she's got a bad knee. She can't do anything herself.
I wouldn't mind being full body tackled by Blaze, but I just thought it was very excessive. And if I was Cecily, I would get to a point where I'd be like, Blaze!
Would you stop it?
Please. Please stop pushing me to the floor. It's fine.
So Ava manages to set the dynamite and blow up. As she's running out of the cave, it blows up. She like dives in the water and just kind of hangs out underwater as the ghost shark approaches. It's about to eat her, but the cave blew up in time and everything is destroyed. So the shark dies again too. And
we don't really get to see how there's sort of like haunted mansion colours like beaming into the sky like it's the Northern Lights, and we get the implication that that's sort of lifting a curse. Like there's no, again, like I think I'm asking too much of this movie, but any sort of like the shark is now at peace, or like, you know what I wanted the end of Van Helsing where Kate Beckinsale's character is reunited with her family in the sky as like holograms looking down at Van Helsing. I wanted that with Ghost Shark. I wanted like lots of faces in the lights going up into the sky to indicate all the other people that have been like violently killed and whose souls are now free, and they look down thankfully at the cast of protagonists like, we're now at peace, you know. I wanted something like that.
Well, the three survivors, they'll just happily swim out in the sea
after Blaze like lists all of the people who were dead. It's a shame
about Cameron and Mick and Taylor. They only know a quarter of the deaths. There's so many people who died they don't know about.
Yeah. And they're like laughing, and I did like that, like they were in the ocean, like, oh, it's safe now, we can go and swim, but kind of thing.
I didn't like that because they tried to kill the shark once, they thought it worked, it didn't work. They tried a second time, they're pretty sure it worked, but who's to say?
Way to find out.
Like at the end of Deep Blue Sea, Carter takes his feet out of the water. They know they've killed all three sharks, but like, sure it's just three sharks, right? And he takes that's better. Just to be safe.
I feel you. I don't know. I kind of liked it. I liked the hubris of it all, the like human sort of like ha 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 ha, you can't keep me out of the ocean kind of thing, and then to be accompanied with this like callous, cold like, oh, I miss Cameron. Oh well, like it was really odd.
He had a jet ski.
Choice. Yeah, he did.
Sure wish I had a jet ski right now.
And there's no, from what I understand, there's no sort of Godzilla reveal. There's no like, because even though there's room for sequels, there's no like, you can't have a baby ghost shark, you can't have an egg, you can't have like a, do you know what I mean? You can't have anything like that.
Yeah.
You can have that the cave is still fine, and that somebody uncovers it in years in future. You know what? I'm gonna write my own sequel to Ghost Shark, and I'm gonna make it really good. And it's gonna follow on from this movie where we discover the cave. We will
happily have you back on to talk about it once it has been made. But that is Ghost Shark. Second time I've watched it, because I did watch it immediately after you recommended it.
Nice.
On the Daylight episode. Because it was on just free to watch on YouTube back then. But so yeah, thank you for
did you have fun? Did you enjoy it?
It is a film that I think is terrible, but I enjoy watching it. Which,
yes,
you know, we've covered. Shark in Venice fits into that category because that's a lot of fun. Very stupid film that I enjoy. Ice Sharks, which is the only asylum film we've covered so far, is terrible.
Wow.
No, sorry, we did Sharktopus as well. Ice Sharks is terrible. But in like a not very fun way. Sharktopus, similarly, is like, what am I watching? This is quite bad.
Oh.
I've yet to delve into the Sharknadoes of the world. I don't intend to head down that route.
Yeah, they're too mainstream for my liking.
I feel like they're too. Ghost Shark feels like it's in on its own joke.
Yes.
But the Sharknadoes feel like they're even more in on it. There's like
their like whole premise is that they're in on it, and you're like, it's not fun if you think this is dumb. Like Ghost Shark is like, there's an attempt here, and also the ghost shark is winking at the camera. But Sharknado is fully just like just talking to the fourth wall, like,
let's kill Frankie
our
Muniz.
shark movie's funny, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, let's have Frankie Muniz climb across the top of a Winnebago and his legs get bitten off, his arms get bitten off, his head gets bitten off. It's Frankie Muniz.
Excessive and ridiculous. It's my review on Sharknado. I love Ghost Shark.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well, so I'm happy to revisit my wife. It was not. So apologies to her.
Apologise to her, yeah.
I have a list of how Ghost Shark is similar to Deep Blue Sea, as we do every time on here. So it's actually a shorter list than we had for Muppet Treasure Island, which is surprising, which was the most recent episode we did. In the opening scene, a shark rams a small boat, and it gets speared, and people are knocked off the boat. There's gratuitous shots of women in scantily clad clothing.
So many.
Yep. Finch gave me angry, bitter Jim Whitlock vibes, the Stellan Skarsgård character. I got that from Finch. And in Deep Blue Sea, he talked about having an ex-wife. It's unconfirmed whether he killed her or not. So
yeah.
I don't know. There is a party scene where drinks are served. They try to. Someone gets killed in a scene where they try to be pulled up from the water, which was Cameron trying to pull up Mick, and of course Carter tries to pull up Janice. There is a super-powered shark. There's bloody water. A shark bites off a guy's arm after someone lights a cigarette. Sheriff is dragged through the water like Preacher when he is killed, he's just in the water being dragged, flailing around by a shark.
Yeah.
Maya shoots Sheriff in I can't read my own writing. Maya shoots Sheriff in shark mouth. Oh yeah. So the shark is in the sheriff is in the shark's mouth, and the mayor shoots at the shark but hits the sheriff instead. The shark explodes, and there is kind of underwater treading of water when Ava's at the end. Nice. She's underwater looking at the ghost shark. Carter does something very similar when he's trying to catch the shark. So the main similarity is sharks, and there's just kind of things around sharks, I guess.
That makes sense.
But the only other thing we have to do is how deep and how blue is Ghost Shark. So, as I'm sure you know, Emily, Deep Blue Sea is 14.5 meters deep, 31% blue. Do you think Ghost Shark is on average deeper and or bluer than Deep Blue Sea?
Ooh, I don't think it's bluer. Oh, actually, no. No, I think it is bluer. I don't think it's deeper.
How do you think it compares to Shark in Venice?
Oh, I think it's bluer than Shark in Venice. Again, I don't think it's as deep. I think Shark in Venice is deeper. I think Ghost Shark is quite shallow.
In many ways. But yeah, you are right on the depth ranking. So Deep Blue Sea 14.5 meters deep, Shark in Venice 2.9 meters deep, Ghost Shark just 16 centimeters deep.
Wow.
Because it's mainly on the surface, stuff on land. There's only a few bits that are actually underwater.
In your coffee, yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly up on the land. But blueness is not actually that blue. Most of the blue comes from the ghost shark itself.
Yeah, that's what
spectral
I thought.
blueness. But a lot of the water shots are quite grey. There's a lot of the scenes are set inside or in Finch's basement where nothing is blue in there. So it's only 21.8% blue compared to Shark in Venice 28.4, Deep Blue Sea 31. So
nice.
Not very blue, but this is our 21st deepest film. It is deeper than Lifeboat, less deep than The Sea Beast. And it is our 24th bluest film. Less blue than Cutthroat Island, but bluer than Ice Sharks.
Love Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island is fantastic. So thank you for joining me, Emily. What would you like to plug? Where can the listeners find you?
Thank you for having me. Why this film is across most podcasting platforms. We look back on movies of your childhood, and we are going through all of Barbie movies for In a Barbie World. We are now racking up to like 16 Barbie movies, and it is a real roller coaster. So do tune in because they're very fun.
Fantastic. As for me, Life vs. Film is my personal site. You can hear me hosting Lampity over on the Lambcast once a month, which is our movie trivia show over there, which Emily made it to the semi-finals last year. She did very well.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark and I have just faced off in our semi-finals this year. Which
oh, wow.
At the time of recording is not out yet, but once that is out, that is a must-listen, incredible show. That was a lot of fun to record.
Nice.
And you can hear us over on Con Air, the podcast, which Emily will hopefully be a guest on soon, where we're talking about Con Air, scene by scene, chapter by chapter. We're almost halfway through at this point. We're having a lot of fun talking about that incredible film.
I bet.
Next up on the show, I think Long Kiss Goodnight will be coming up soon, I think. The Rennie Harlin film, or Die Hard 2, because it's almost Christmas and we need a Christmas film. But as for Ghost Shark, thank you once again to my guest Emily Slade.
Thank you.
I have been Jake Blue, and I'll Deep Blue see you again soon.